When it comes to drugs that are out today, like crank and heroin, is your son or daughter just saying yes? Well, according to recent studies, drug use among young people has doubled since 1992. Well, today on Rolonda, we're going to meet some families who have fallen victim to these types of statistics, and they're desperately fighting to keep their kids alive. First, we're going to meet a mother who says her son's heroin addiction is so out of control that she had to throw him out of the house because he threatened to kill her.
He shot himself up or sniffed up, and he almost died. He took an overdose, but he was lucky enough to jump into a shower and cool himself down. I happened to come in at the end of the situation.
We're also going to meet a mother who says that her daughter's crank addiction is so bad that she's abandoning her own 10-year-old daughter just to go out in the streets and get a fix.
Like when your mom leaves with other guys, like you wonder what's happening with her, like if she's gonna get raped or something, or if she's dead laying in the street, or if somebody just took her, like, or she's just laying dead in the street by using drugs and everything.
And later we're going to meet a mother who says that her daughter has stopped doing acid and speed, but she won't give up smoking pot, and she's concerned.
But you're failing out of school, your whole life is going down, and I see it, and if I don't step in, I feel like something like that could happen.
But first, I'd like you to meet a very concerned mother. Some of you may be able to relate to her story today, as well as the story of her son. This is Anita. She joins us from New Jersey. And she says she just can't take it anymore. She wrote us a very harrowing letter. She says her 21-year-old son, Eric, shoots up heroin and threatens to kill her when he's high. I got this letter from you. Eric, I don't know if you know about this letter, but your mom wrote and she said, I knew this had to stop. I was taking days off from work, staying up most of the night, worrying, walking the floor, giving him money I didn't have, so he would stop punching holes in my walls, damaging my car, splitting my tires, breaking the windshield, damaging the motor. And this was your only means of transportation. This has taken an emotional, physical, and financial toll on you.
Yes, it has.
And you are at a breaking point.
Yes, I am.
Try to share with me what you're going through. And Eric, I want you to be strong through this, okay?
What I'm going through is I want my son back. This is not my son. He was good in school. He did what he had to. He even graduated a year before his class. But it's not him now. And I don't know who he is. And I can't find him. So I feel like I lost my son.
Eric, you want to talk a little bit about what's going on?
Yeah. Mom, I love you. Excuse me. I love you with all my heart. And it bothers me to say this, but for 17 years you weren't there. I'm 21 now. I have no self-esteem. I look for myself in my drugs. I look for people that need me and want me. You weren't there for me for 21 years. What happened to you? Why were you taking care of everybody else's damn kids? What about me? What about me? You don't want to accept the fact that you hurt me through the years. And I looked out for you, but I was there for you. I was the grown-up boy you wanted me to be, to take on your problems, take care of your next problems, and be the one in the family. And told me I was not able to cry. I was not supposed to have emotions growing up. It wasn't fair to me. I have all this anger and resentment of the loss of a childhood that I never got to grow. And it hurts every day I wake up. It hurts when it first started on my mind. I want to get high because I don't want to remember what's going on. It's the fact I can't take it anymore. I'm going out of my mind. I'm strongly going out of my mind. But I love you and I don't want this to hurt you, but this is the truth. This is what's wrong with you. You weren't there for 17 years. And all of a sudden you wanted to be this perfect kid. I did all that 17 years on my own and I'm tired. I had no self-supporting back then, and I'm running out of energy. I'm running out of emo. I can't take it. I really just can't take it anymore.
Eric, are you tired of doing heroin?
I'm
tired of doing it, but it's the only family I found I have. The only thing that seems to comfort me, it gives me the feeling, relaxation, and know I'm all right, and I can be strong and be this person my mom wants me to be again. To be strong so I can make my mother happy. I'm not strong no more. I'm tired of the fighting and all this. I really can't. I'm losing it.
Anita, what do you think about what your son just said?
She's right, and he's right in a lot of respects, but I came from a dysfunctional family. And I had run to therapy, and I didn't get a wake-up call until after my kids were all grown. I did a lot, and I apologize for what I've done, and I can't change the past. All I can do is live for the future. And I'm trying, but I don't know how anymore.
One of the things I noticed is how tightly you gripped each other's hands when you were talking about you love each other.
Very much.
And I don't think there's anything that can come between you as long as you have that love together. Eric, you called our show. The drugs are wearing you down. The pain is wearing you down. Reality can wear you down. But you're a strong young man, and we have help for you today. There are 1 million people in this nation who are addicted to heroin, and a lot of them are our young people like this. If there's anything that you want to say to your son that might help him understand, because, you know, Eric, our parents, there's no book on how to do it. Not everything's perfect. But there are ways to deal with the pain that we all go through sometimes through tough families. Is there anything that you want to say to Eric at this moment as
Eric,
we move on?
I love you with all my heart and soul. And if I've done anything wrong to you, I've told you before, I'm sorry. But I know it doesn't change, but I cannot erase it.
But how do you fix the way you fix me?
I don't know how to fix you except for you to get the help you need to fix yourself.
You know, one of the greatest things that you've done, and I told you this before the show started, Eric, that this is going to be a whole new day for you. Your life is, I promise you, is going to change a bit. But that's up to you, and you've made a tremendous step by being here, both of you together. And we're going to work on it. I promise you, we're going to get you some help before the end of this hour that's going to carry you through your life. I promise you that. We're going to meet a mother who can relate a lot to Anita. A mother who says that her daughter seems to care more about getting high on crank than taking care of her own 10-year-old child. Later, you're also going to meet a 15-year-old girl who says that getting high on marijuana is not a big deal. Is it? Stay with us as we return, as we talk today about kids who are young, hooked, and hurting.
In advertising, they say one of the surest ways to get your message across is to put celebrities in your commercial. We hope they're right.
The freshest feeling, the coolest high. So pick up some heroin and shoot for the sky. Everybody's doing it, doing it. Everybody's doing it. Glamorous parties and night on the town with beautiful people. It's always around. Everybody's doing it, doing it. Heroin for the rest of your life.
A lot of people are doing it. 1 million people in America nationally are considered addicted to heroin. We are talking with families today whose kids are young, hooked, and hurting. We were just talking to Eric and his mom, Anita, an extremely emotional start to a new direction for your life. Eric, when we looked at that public service announcement from A Drug-Free America, could you relate to that scene?
Yeah.
How?
Puking, the dirtiness, you know. Heroin is like a demon. It takes control of your life, you know. It's something that you think of and it's constantly in your mind, and once it gets in your mind, you get addicted that way, then you get that physical addiction where if you don't have it, you wake up with the pains and you hurt, or everything because you're sore in your bones, your stomach, where you just can't move anymore.
Eric, we weren't sure you were going to make it to the show today, and because of something that happened just a few days ago on Friday. What happened, Anita?
He shot himself up or sniffed up, and he almost died. He took an overdose, but he was lucky enough to jump into a shower and cool himself down. I happened to come in at the end of the situation.
What were you going through that day, Eric?
I got some money. I was just tired, you know. I didn't do it on purpose, maybe I did. You know. But, you know, I wanted, you know, I did a speedball, mixed my heroin with cocaine. I shot it up. And I just went, body started shaking and tremors and stuff like that. And, you know, I was blacking out. And so it was just, by God, I was lucky enough to buy a shower. I was close to death. I wouldn't even think I would have made it that far because I barely made it to the shower.
There's also the violence, the money, the being thrown in jail, $15,000 out of money that you don't have, spent on bail after arrests. What you even say that there have been times when the drug has taken over Eric so much that he has threatened to kill you?
Yeah, it gets to the point where he's got a baseball bat and he was going to hit into the walls and if you don't, or I'm going to take the bat, I'm going to bash your head in and I'm going to kill you and just verbal threats, but nothing that he would come at me himself except for the baseball bat to the car, to banging the walls, to anything. It was, but I know it's the drug because when Eric was not on the drugs for a while, for a period of time there, this wouldn't happen. There was a conversation between the two of us, two grown-up people ironing out a problem. But as soon as the drugs hit, it was just it. And threats to the point where if I didn't give him the $20 or the $10 or the use of a car or transportation, you know, and I got to the point where I just go, just get out of here. I just can't handle no more.
There's another family member in another family who is dealing with the difficulty of someone addicted to drugs. Imagine being 10 years old and you wonder where your mommy is gone. You find yourself abandoned because mom has gone out because she's addicted to crank or methamphetamine, or some people call it ice. It's a man-made stimulant that affects the nervous system and is highly addictive. Crank is most known for its horrifying side effects such as paranoia, delusions, violent behavior, even death. I want you to meet a 10-year-old girl whose mommy is addicted to that, and I want you to meet the addict's mother, Rose, who is a former crank addict herself. They're from California, and it's their 25-year-old daughter that you're most concerned about, Rose. Is that right?
Yes.
Tell me what breaking point that you have gotten to. I mean, this has got to be very difficult for you with your granddaughter here, but you're a family in crisis.
Watching my granddaughter, suffer because of my daughter's drug addiction. She can't see her pain. When you're so much in pain yourself, you can't see nobody else's pain.
What kind of pain do you go through, darling? Because you know you're not by yourself. As much as we talk about drug addiction, there's a family behind addicts, and oftentimes they are kids like you. What do you go through? Can you help me explain what it's like having a mommy who is addicted to drugs?
Like when your mom leaves with other guys, like you wonder what's happening with her, like if she's gonna get raped or something, or if she's dead laying in the street, or if somebody just took her, like, or she's just laying dead in the street by using drugs and everything.
When your mom is away, and I don't know, I remember being 10, I dreamed a lot of things when life got tough. What do you dream about for your mom and your family?
I dreamed that one day my mom would get better and that we would go, like, move away from everybody and just have a better life.
What are you thinking?
I want so much to see Gloria get clean and suffer. It's not her, like you were saying.
Does she get violent like we heard Anita talking about?
Gloria no, she doesn't get violent. She runs.
She just disappears. And there's a daughter to take care of and business to take care of.
There's my granddaughter in the middle. I don't know where she's at half the time. I've taken care of her before, but Gloria takes her back from me.
Okay.
It's just real hard.
When we come back, we're going to meet 10-year-old Veronica's mother, who says she just got high on crank just the other day. We ask her why, and she says because she can't deal with her own mother. We'll have her explain that right after this.
I want you to go to home, and I want to live with my nana for a little while to get better and sober up. And I don't want to live with you right now because you're on drugs and everything.
Hey, are you enjoying this episode of Rolonda? If so, please hit the subscribe button and let me know. Leave your comments and also follow me in other forms of social media at Rolonda Watts. Remember, that's ROLONDA, Rolonda Watts on all forms of social media. Now, let's get back to the show.
They lost more than 200 pounds
I'm as healthy as I've ever been.
and say surgery is the answer.
If you're only able to eat a little portion, you can't gain so much weight.
Last chance for the obese on Rolonda. Now, if you're going to be in the New York area and would like free tickets to Rolonda, well, please call us. We were just talking to Rose and her granddaughter, Veronica, the 10-year-old daughter who does not want to lose her mommy, she says, to a crank addiction. Joining us now is 25-year-old Gloria, who says that she's been getting high on crank for the past 3 years. She says she just got high on crank the other day, in fact, because she could not deal with her mother, Rose. Talk to me a bit, because I think 3 days ago, you were coming to this show to talk about the drugs.
I didn't know for sure yet if I was going to come here. But
What was going on?
It was a day I went to my mom and I told her I was tired. And then she started complaining about a sweater and kept on about it and on about it. And I was like, I got to get out of here. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my God, this lady's driving me crazy.
So because of an argument with a sweater?
No, she wasn't arguing with me. She was saying that I took it or misplaced it, which my mind is kind of, I don't remember things sometimes now. It's like, and everything. And I was like, and I called my sister up and I said, come and pick me up.
We just heard Eric talking to his mom, Anita, and a lot of his problems, he says, that make him go to his drug, heroin, are because of his relationship with his mother. Is that what's going on with you?
Well, sort of, but I can't blame my mom for what I do because it's my own actions, you know. But a lot of it is because sometimes I will need to go to her and she'll just like hang up on me or till I'm really ready, she says, because she's been through this with me before. I was supposed to go to drug rehab 2 years ago, and I ran. She had it set up and I left. And
why? What was going on? Because,
my husband, I wanted to be with him. I wanted to be with my husband, and that's what I did.
What about your daughter?
This is the reason I really gotta change, because of her. My mom says I don't see the hurt, but lately I have been seeing it because I haven't really been doing it.
Have you really seen the pain that she's going through?
I see she's not in school. She hasn't been in school for a little while. I got to deal with that because I've moved out of my apartment and we don't have a home, is what you could say. I went down where we don't have a home or nothing now.
Rose, why don't you talk about what that pain is? When she's not there and she's off on her crank high, what is her daughter going through?
She's going through a lot.
Can you tell your daughter what she's missing?
A lot of emotional pain. She needs you. She's a little girl. She's taking care of herself. She's with me. I try to do things for her and she's confused.
I know.
She wants her mother. I've held her in my arms where she's cried for you. Doesn't know what kind of mood you're going to be in. She deserves more.
Well, there was those times I didn't want to take care of her because I went through that because when I was younger with you, I took care of your kids too. I had a lot of responsibilities since I was
My past is over and done with. I can't change the past.
I'm not saying you can change it, but I'm just saying there's times where I didn't want to be a mother. I didn't. I can admit to that. I didn't want it.
Rose, do you see a lot of yourself in your daughter, Gloria? I mean, because what I hear her saying is, and I'm going to ask you, did you go through this drug problem as well?
Yeah, I was on drugs. I'm a recovering addict today.
You're a recovering addict?
Yeah. I guess, well, I got help, but each person has to want to get help. Mm-hmm. And what's going on with me, I've tried to get her to get help. Mm-hmm. And I guess I'm just tired. It's got to come from her.
Talking to me would be a lot better than yelling and screaming.
I'm not perfect.
I know that, but I've tried to tell you that on the phone. I've called you. There, you start yelling at me. I don't need to hear this. I'm going through my own problems, and boom, hang up.
But a lot of us go through that with our mothers.
Yeah,
but we don't go out and smoke crank.
No, I'm not saying that she's the reason I do it.
Especially when we have daughters. I'm concerned because I don't want to see 3 generations of 3 beautiful women going through the same thing.
Either, so.
Veronica, why don't you talk to Mommy a little bit? Because you said there were lots of things that you dream about, and there are also things you're very concerned about. Sometimes when we're little kids, we have to grow up real fast to take care of our parents sometimes. And I want you to look at your mom and with all your love, tell her what you think you need to say to her from your heart. Can you do that?
I want you to go to home, and I want to live with my nana for a little while till you get better and sober up. And I don't want to live with you right now because you're on drugs and everything.
Oh, Mommy's gonna get help, okay?
I heard Veronica say she doesn't want to live with you anymore.
I don't blame her.
Is there a custody situation going on here that?
No, my mom knows that I will let her take her. I won't fight her on it.
But how are you going to fight when you high on crank?
I won't do it, though.
And the child's not in school.
You know, I won't do it. She could live with my mom. My mom doesn't have to think like that. Sometimes she did. She goes, well, you got to sign her over to me. And I said, I will do that.
I think it's so sad that a 10-year-old has to think like that.
Yeah,
to say, Mommy, I don't want to live with you anymore. Can you imagine what that must take for a 10-year-old? She's not in school. At 10 years old, a little girl has so many emotional needs. Are you serious when you say you're going to get help?
Yes, I am.
Okay. One of the things I say about being on this show, it's in history now. It's on video. It's out there.
I know.
You have promised a nation that you will take care of our children. Right. All right. Also coming up when we come back from this break, a 15-year-old girl who says she's not addicted to marijuana. She says she only smokes pot twice a week to sleep, and once a week to party. We're going to hear how her parents are dealing with this, very concerned that pot might lead her to pot or to something far worse. We'll be right back in a minute.
I said I wasn't addicted to it. I didn't say there's no problem with it. I know the difference between right and wrong.
Is your kid's classroom out of control?
I was frightened. I was really afraid.
Chaos in the classroom.
The skin on my arm was ripped off.
On Rolonda.
What a day for love. It's a day for love. What a day for love. It's a lovely day.
The 90s are not the 60s. There's no such thing as a harmless drug in a world this dangerous. Talk to your kids about marijuana.
Our next guests are doing just that, trying to talk to their kid about marijuana, and they're a bit concerned. We've been talking to kids today who are hooked on drugs. We were talking to Eric, who is hooked on heroin, Gloria on crank, and joining us now is a mom and dad who just had their 15-year-old daughter admit to them that she was experimenting with acid and speed and smokes an awful lot of pot. Meet from California, Rebecca, her 15-year-old daughter Jennifer, and John, who is Jennifer's stepfather. And I'm just going to ask you, I think families all throughout America are having these tough talks with their kids. We have to. Kids are starting to experiment as early as 8 and 9 years old these days. What was going on in your family where all of this admittance came out?
Me and my mom brought me up thinking, like we could talk to each other about things. And it didn't just come out. It's been out for a while. And I was sober for a while, and then I had stopped. And
sober from what? From drinking?
I've been sober off like acid and speed for a while now. And but off pot, it's I haven't been I don't do it a lot. It's just that it's like maybe my friends will just give it to me. I don't pay for it. I don't steal to pay for it, and they'll give it to me, and maybe I'll split it up into 2, and I'll smoke it so I can get to sleep at night. Because I don't.
And how old are you?
15.
15.
Because I don't have good sleeping habits.
Rebecca, what do you see is going on? And how is this affecting your daughter? Why are you concerned today, you and John?
Well, I'm very concerned because I see that I see the drastic mood swings. I've always seen it. I thought perhaps she was a depression, sort of, almost to the point. She's always had sleeping problems, that's true, but I thought it was more medical and everything. And I just recognize I'm recovering also, and I recognize the pattern. I recognize the come down. I recognize the no hope.
What did that commercial say? This isn't the 60s anymore.
No, it's
but
not.
So many parents who experimented then are finding that their kids are experimenting now. So what is your concern? Is that something that you draw from your life, that you saw where you went, that you want your... Why don't you explain to her? Because a lot of times parents don't talk about where their real fears come from. Maybe it's because of something that you experienced yourself that you want your daughter to avoid. Might that be it?
I've told her many times about going down to the bottom, just a demoralization of it all. And I remember in my days they'd say, oh, well, little pots, you know, what's a little pot? But a little pot in my days was maybe just a little pot. I hear it's not like that now. And I mean, it's got other things involved. They put other drugs in it, and it's not just a little pot.
John, do you fear it might lead to stronger things, as many parents are concerned about?
Oh, yes, I really do. It's especially when she says that, well, I'm not addicted, so there's nothing wrong with it. And I'm also a recovering use drugs and alcohol and things. And that's what everybody said. That's what everybody said, all of us said.
Jennifer, go on. Go on.
I said I wasn't addicted to it. I didn't say there's no problem with it. I know the difference between right and wrong. And I know drugs are wrong. And, you know, like I said, like maybe my friends would give me something, and I'd split it up into two and smoke it so I could get to sleep at night. But if I've never done it more than maybe twice a week. And if I did do it twice a week, it was because I split it up so I could get to sleep.
Many families are going through this, having the types of conversations, careful, concerned conversations like this all throughout. Not just folks like you and I, but even the big stars go through it. I mean, remember Carroll O'Connor, that great actor, had difficulty in his family with drugs as well. Here he is talking about the importance of intervention, and this is to families.
This is Hugh. This is my son. He started on drugs when he was 16. I chased Hugh and his friends out of the house when I caught them smoking pot. But I was afraid to get too tough. Afraid that Hugh would shut me out and I would lose my relationship with my son. When his life became filled with horrifying hallucinations, he ended his life. Get between your kids and drugs any way you can, if you want to save the kid's life.
Rebecca, I watched you through that, and you were sitting there going, yep, like you've been there, done that.
Yes.
What were you thinking? What were you feeling? And say it to your daughter, because this time when you talk outside of home, it's going to be a different kind of situation. So take advantage of this, you and John. And you too, Jennifer. Just talk to her about what you're feeling.
I'm feeling that it's not just the sleeping. I'm feeling that something's going to come in our relationship. And I feel that even you said that when I said you were high the other night and you said, oh, it's just because I told you I was high or I used to get high, that's why you're coming down on me, and it wasn't that. I've known you've gotten high for a long time, and it wasn't your honesty that came out. But I see other things besides sleeping patterns, you know, for sleep. You know, I used to say that for sleep, but you're failing out of school, you know, your whole life is going down, and I see it. And if I don't step in, I feel like something like that could happen. Drugs are different now.
You know what? I raised my grades. Yeah. I raised my grades, and I have never run away from home. I'm not pregnant. I'm not, you know, I want to be able to drive. I'll quit doing drugs, and I already told you that. It's not a big thing. It's the fact that you accuse me of being on it when I'm not. You don't trust me.
How can she trust you?
It's hard.
I know it's
for
hard.
her, for everybody. We got hurt.
I know.
Well, you've got
But
to
it's
give
the
us
fact-
a chance
but if I
to
stopped-
trust.
If I told her, fine, I'll quit right now. If I said that, because I could say that, and I already told her that, but if I told her that, I'd still go and get drug tested. It's the fact that I lost the trust, and I know I messed up. You know, but it's always, you know, it's the basis of me being able to grow up with my mom and being able to trust her and be able to go up and talk to her about these things.
But we have to give them a chance to trust us.
and they're not
Not be here, but we got, what have we done? Look at me. I told my mom, I'm gonna get clean, I can do this by myself. I told her for how many years? 4 years I've been getting high. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, I'm sick of it. You know, I still talk about it. It's the first thought in my mind. I could rather be doing that than this right now, but it's the truth. And how you want my mother to trust me from anywhere far to give me money, give me her car keys, and trust me in any which way? You have to earn the trust. We ripped it away from him.
When we come back, we're going to have some help for our parents and our kids, and maybe those of you at home who are struggling with a kid who is young, hooked, and hurting. Stay with us. A lot of those teenagers, some of them children using drugs for the first time. I mean, we've done shows where we've talked to teenagers who have started on drugs as early as 8 or 9 years old. And joining us now is Dr. David Lewis, who is the founder and director of ASAP. It's a family treatment program at Anacapa Hospital in Ventura, California. And David, you work with families like this every day. I was really impressed. I've got to say this before we go. I mean, it brought me to tears myself, that just to hear this man, Eric, who is ready to make such a change in his life from being addicted or still addicted to heroin, but talking about the trust issues that families have to go through, believing, you know, trust has to be earned, he said, and I appreciate that, and his mom was so very, very proud. But when we talk about rehab, I mean, I want you to talk down here because I think Rebecca and John are going through a tough time with Jennifer. Maybe it is just pot. Is that something to be so concerned about?
You know, I'm a little worried, Jennifer, because it seems like, I mean, are you really willing to be drug tested? I mean, you know?
John, haven't you started doing that with Jennifer?
Well, we're going to a group where she goes to school, a parent support group.
Mm-hmm.
And they test there, or they tell us where to go. And after the altercation we had with her one night at the house, on such a mood swing, we just figured the next day I was going to take her to talk to the counselor, and then I told her that morning that we were going to go be tested.
Mm-hmm. You know, Jennifer, I'm worried that kind of like you get out of here and you say, I'll do, but then when you get home, you've got 5 more excuses, you know, why you should go ahead and use pot to smoke, or to smoke pot to sleep, or to, you know, to do whatever, you know. And when you get home, are you going to kind of get back into the arguments with your parents?
Well, we've been in the arguments. And what happens is, you know, I came home Tuesday night, and I brought a friend home. I brought my best friend home. And yeah, I did mess up. I should have asked.
But wasn't the best friend a guy?
Yeah, I should have, but he stayed over before, and I've had, like, my guy friends stay over, and he's like my brother to me. You know, and I'm sure about 90% of these people, they have these best friends that are just like their brothers, and they wouldn't do that. And the thing is, I came home that night, and, you know, yeah, I should have called and asked if he could have stayed the night before, and they probably would have been okay with it, you know. But that night they had they were making accusations about me gonna sleep with him or whatever, and that made me feel kind of cheap.
But you know something, that comes with being a kid. Goodness knows I went through that 50 million times with my friends. You go through those types of difficulties with your parents. I just want to know about when it comes to the drug situation, because I understand it's more than just your parents arguing with you. Now your parents are starting to argue with each other because they're not agreeing on how to discipline you. This is beyond just a parent-kid thing, right? Is that right, John?
That's right. We're going to counseling for ourselves too, because it gets us on both sides of the argument about what to do about it. One of the best things is just going to the counseling together, but besides that, we go to a marriage counselor, because sometimes I don't feel that she supports me enough in discipline. Sometimes she thinks I'm doing too much or whatever it is. It just it gets us at odds and kind of puts us apart.
David, when we come back, I'd like you to tell us, because I know that Carol O'Connor alluded to this in his public service announcement, that, you know, you smell the pot the first time, you say, because you don't want to mess up that relationship. But sometimes a little tough love can help kids, and I want to talk about that as well. If you suspect that your son or your daughter may be using drugs and you are looking for help, please stay tuned. In fact, go and grab a piece of paper and a pencil, because we're going to give you a number to call for help, and see if we can get some help for our folks on today's show as well. We'll be right back in a minute.
When I was high on pot, I was flirting with this guy, and I didn't even know who he was. I didn't know his name. And we ended up having sex with each other. And I felt like, why am I doing this to myself, and what's going on with me? I felt very ashamed, and I felt embarrassed, and I felt dirty. Marijuana, it won't get you nowhere.
Hey, are you enjoying this episode of Rolonda? If so, please hit the subscribe button and let me know. Leave your comments, and also follow me in other forms of social media at Rolonda Watts. Remember, that's ROLONDA, Rolonda Watts, on all forms of social media. And if you're interested in voice acting, my goodness, let me help you. This is a new year coming. It could be a new you, a new career. Check out my voice acting masterclass at Rolonda.com, ROLONDA.com, and I'll tell you all about it. Let's get back to the show. And if you're interested in being a voice actor, why don't you sign up for my free webinars and find out all about it? Just go to Rolonda.com, ROLONDA.com, and push the button to sign up for my free webinar. So come on, let's get you prepared for maybe a brand new career in this brand new year. Check it out, Rolonda.com. Now, let's get back to the show.
Is your kid's classroom out of control?
I was frightened. I was really afraid.
Chaos in the classroom.
The skin on my arm was ripped off.
On Rolonda.
In case you've forgotten how big America's drug problem is, here's a little reminder.
Oh, I hear people in the audience. You know, I appreciate these public service announcements by Drug Free America, because they're putting it where families can get it. We've talked about generations, Dr. Lewis, of families, as you well see, with your treatment center, that are being affected. And Gloria here, who has also promised to go into rehab, has a little one, 10 years old, who's watching mommy go out and smoke crank. What do you say to these families here? Because I want Gloria to stand by her promise to her little girl today.
You know, Gloria, what I wonder is, you know, because what I'm worried about, my fear is that you're going to die one way or the other. You're either going to die emotionally or you're going to die for real. And you kind of get into a little squabble with your mom about what happens with Veronica. But I think, number one, are you willing to go into treatment?
Yes, I am, because I don't want to see my daughter on drugs.
But next,
I don't want to see that.
I understand. But if you blow out of treatment, because I know Eric has blown out of treatment a few times, and your mom probably blew out of treatment. If you blow out of treatment, are you willing then to let your mom have custody of Veronica?
I'm willing to let her,
Until you get sober?
Until I get clean, until I get really off this for good, and I can deal with life itself and deal with myself first, then I can deal with
You'll let your mom have custody, so this little girl can have a stable life, and let you get yourself put back together again.
David, what do you say to Veronica? Because I think there are kids all across the nation who are in a situation like she is, who are watching their parents on, off, trying to get off, and that's going to affect that child.
Yeah, Veronica, the only thing I can say to you is it sounds like your mom's trying. You know, she really wants to, and I think you're scared, and I also think you're a real courageous girl.
So courageous.
Yeah.
Met some folks in the audience during the commercial have some things to say.
Hi, my name is Guy Mallory. I'm the Youth Empowerment Director for Madison Square Boys and Girls Club. A lot of the individuals on the panel now need intervention, and one of the programs that we run is a prevention program. We're going to concentrate on Veronica. If we provide her with information on drugs and alcohol, the possibility is she probably won't use it.
So what do you say to kids like Veronica who are going through a tough time? A family crisis is going on in her life right now. What do you say?
Well, I think in Veronica's case, you have to work with the whole family instead of just from Veronica, because when she goes home and leaves our program, she has to go inside that home where the problems start anyway. So we have to deal with that. I also think that with young people like Veronica, if we arm them with the knowledge and skills that they need in order to say, no, I don't want drugs, or no, I don't need drugs, or she could be the one who finds a cure for cancer or AIDS. And we can't do that if we use drugs. You can't
So
be the
you'll
best you
sit
can be.
and talk with this family and help
course,
them
if you need me
understand?
to.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we're going to hook up Veronica so she can talk with you as well. I'd like you to meet someone else here. This is Tracy Solon. She is the resource coordinator for Hudson Behavioral Treatment Center in New Jersey. And you came here because you had something to say to Eric.
Eric, what we like to do is help you out with getting you into a detox. We have one set up for you. And then afterwards, bring you back into Jersey City. And we'll bring you to treatment every single day. We'll pick you up from your house and drop you off at home and kind of get you back on the right track.
You can do that? Thank you so much, Tracy. I appreciate you. You know something, what I like and one of the things I'm most proud of is how somehow let this show stand for 1 hour where communities come together, where families say to each other, you're not by yourself, where kids have support of beautiful audience members like you. By the way, Guy, David said he was going to give his per diem to you for your group instead of, you know, that, I think that's a wonderful thing. And this program, Eric, is waiting for you. It's all set up. We've already set it up. All we need is your mom to give the nod and you to love yourself enough to take yourself in there and get correct, okay? All right. We'll be right back in a minute, everybody.
They lost more than 200 pounds.
I'm as healthy as I've ever been.
And say surgery is the answer.
If you're only able to eat a little portion, you can't gain so much weight.
Last chance for the obese on Rolonda.
I was just talking to Veronica here, who was saying that she already at 10 years old has been exposed to so many drugs, and people have offered them to her, and she is seeing what she doesn't want to grow up to deal with, but she's surrounded by it. David, it is hard.
It's hard for kids to be in a position because drugs are so available. One of the things I wanted to say is one of my jobs here is that Rose asked me to do is to follow up on everybody's treatment. So, and we've got treatment set up for everybody here. And Jennifer, for you and your family, there's a family therapist who's going to get all three of you in the room together and sort this thing out. His name's Vince Capello, and he's going to see you guys when you get back. And I'm going to follow up with him just to make sure that you're drug-free, you're doing the drug test, you're going to family therapy, and you guys are all working out together, because I think that, you know, Rebecca, you've got to get in between drugs and your kid, you know. So I'm going to be following up on that.
A little of that tough love, is that part of tough love?
Tough love will be part of it,
yeah.
But family therapy is going to be part of it too. And the same thing for Veronica and Gloria is that I'm going to follow up on the treatment. We've got treatment for you, and we're going to set that up, and we'll let you know about it afterward, and I'm sure it'll work.
And you know old Ro here, I'm going to be calling you, checking up on you to see what's happening so you can come back and celebrate your choices, your good choices in life. So proud of all of you. Took a lot of guts to do what you're doing. Yes. Thank you so much for being with us this hour. Thank you for your courage, and thank you for staying tuned. We'll see you next time on Rolonda, everybody. Thank you.
Also, follow me in other forms of social media at Rolonda Watts. Remember, that's ROLONDA, Rolonda Watts on all forms of social media.